Do we know the effects of abuse on the adolescent mind? This is important because they are growing and becoming themselves. Now, in Australia in January, Sydney decided to take down ribbons that were tied to a fence post around where their late cardinal breached. And they took them down because they didn't want to vilify the cardinal. The ribbons were on there in support for the survivors, the ones who the cardinal was preaching to and knew about. And Sydney chose to not stand with the survivors, whereas Victoria chose to keep them up and chose to stand with the survivors to help them through this difficult time, because this will affect the adolescent growing up, seeing that their city, their parish doesn't stand behind them for whatever they went through. Even as Sydney wasn't standing with the survivors all showed certain characteristics. Trauma survivor means a whole lot of things. With this, it means that they are courageous to be able to keep going through whatever they are going through. They are brave to come out, speak to us, and get the help they want. They inspire others who are in similar situations in a way to show what the survivor can do and how they can get out of this. And they are exceptional and astounding to live with what they went through, to let them to build up from it and not to tear them down. When you come to the conversation of survivors and their memory, the adolescent can change activities in a better way for them to remember, but that activity won't leave the adolescent. They will grow up and think about it, reflect on it, and fear is going to happen again. They may disassociate on a vacation with a family. They may not fully experience a family vacation. A historical life interview lets the survivor explain what they want to and doesn't pressure them to go beyond what they want. So, with this time perspective difference with the survivors and the general adolescent youth, what would the numbers start looking like when you are starting to dive into adolescents having long-term effects other than memory issues? When you look at the effects of abuse and neglect, non-abused and non-neglected are still have the possibility of having some of these feelings. But when you look at the abused and neglected survivors, they are more likely to have depression, some sort of depression, attempt suicide, and possibly repeatedly until they succeed or until they come out and get the help they need. The sexually abused are the most likely to have these long-term effects. They are the ones that need the most help, but may not be the most willing to come out and get the help. But that's where we need to come and help. There's a thing called the DAP test, and is where the survivor can draw themselves. It's a draw a person test, and it lets a survivor picture themselves how they feel they are. They can not include different things. Include organs, not include organs. Put emphasis on lines. Barely put a line in. And in this picture, you can see how the control group participant had emphasis on everything how she saw herself. She had all her limbs, eyes, hair, mouth. She saw herself as others do. And in figure 7, the study group participant, she didn't see herself as others do, so she didn't put emphasis in to draw arms, to make her eyes look closer together, to make her mouth sit in a spot on the face where a mouth typically would. And she didn't put any attempt to draw legs. Instead, she drew squares for her feet. These help us see. This lets the survivor show how they feel about themselves. The at-risk people are more likely to attempt suicide, but there's not as big of a difference as thought between injuries between the not at risk and the at-risk adolescents and young adults. And these help us see what they're feeling and how we can help them. And a reminder to all the survivors out there, you're not alone. There are people out there who want to help, who will help you if you are willing to come out and ask for it. They sometimes don't see it, but sometimes they do. And if you're willing to accept the help, they are there to help you, as the superheroes are behind the young adult and adolescent who was abused in this drawing. Now, what I took away from this, I think both sources have truth about the survivors, but the differences lie in the fact that media is wanting to catch your eye, get the headline, while the academic sources are more about the numbers, about experiences. How can we help people through what they're going through? How can we help the survivors? And they just want, and this is important because abuse affects not just them, but affects everyone. And if someone can help, it is important we do so. Thank you.